The topic for this week is women in supply chain and imposter syndrome. Whoa, touchy topic. Coming right up with Alma Arzate. Alma, welcome back. Now, for those of you who haven't watched some of the previous chats that I've had with Alma, Alma's been in supply chain for 25 years in Mexico, US, Canada, lots of different industries, automotive, electronics, currently in pharmaceutical as a director in supply chain. Alma, I know you're very active in the community on platforms like LinkedIn and so on. And particularly supportive of women in supply chain. So I really wanted to get your perspective on some of the challenges that women find in supply chain. And in an earlier conversation, you talked about imposter syndrome. Can we maybe touch on that?
Of course, Rob. That will be my pleasure. And as you pointed out, there have been many challenges throughout my career that I had to overcome, and the imposter syndrome is one of them. Which I was reflecting a little bit on the topic, and I think it originated in part because I didn't have strong female leaders to look up to when I began my supply chain journey back in Mexico. And as you're aware, the supply chain has been and still is a male dominated field, right?
Mm.
So back then, the role models I had at the time were my managers and other senior leaders, and most, if not all of them, were male. So when I was starting my career and look around the table at my leaders, I just remember that I couldn't picture myself as one of them.
Mm.
And just to give you a better idea, when I was promoted to a people leader for the first time back in 2004, I was one of only four female managers in a group of 104
Wow.
operations and supply chain managers.
Mm.
So I've been the only woman in the room more times than I can count. I mean,
Mm.
still to this day. So as you know,
Mm.
representation matters, right? So I have found that maybe the best way to overcome this way too common that we should try to eradicate as much as we can, imposter syndrome, is to work on increasing your self-confidence. So how
Mm.
do you do that? That's the holy grail, right? So your self-confidence grows when you succeed, and then you become ready and willing to do more and to ask for more. So I always tell my team that it's a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? If you believe you can do it, you're going to be right. You
Mm.
believe you cannot do it, then you're also going to be
So
right,
true.
right?
So true.
So that's one of the things that I think is important, right? And like there's many ways to actually increase your self-confidence, but
Mm.
I'm going to share one way to increase the self-confidence that actually has worked for me.
Mm.
So is to master the courage to speak up and find your voice. And this is my one of my most favorite topics. I'm very passionate about it. Maybe because I really didn't find my voice until I was in my mid 30s. So I know, hard to believe, but I couldn't get what I was thinking out um, when I needed to get it out.
Mm.
After the fact, I thought all kinds of things that I should have said that. How come I didn't jump in at that time? But at the moment, like we just couldn't. I just
Mm.
couldn't. I just couldn't break in. There were so many domineering personalities in the meeting. I was quiet. I was tentative. I couldn't break into the conversation. I couldn't articulate a strong point of view. I was interrupted.
Mm.
I started apologizing. And what was this happening to me, right? And to be honest, maybe happening to a lot of the women in the
Mm.
audience. And I believe that being assertive did not come naturally to a lot of us because I grew up in a home in a community
Mm.
where I was socialized to be passive. I was a good girl. I was
Mm.
passive. I didn't raise my voice, right? So
Mm.
in order to get to become more assertive, which I think, to be fair, it wasn't me all along. It's just I didn't tap into that force or strength, right? I had to overcome years of cultural biases, suppression, insecurity, and finally master the courage to stand up and speak up and find my voice. And I just want to thank maybe some of my male role models and former managers might watch this. So I want to thank them for in deciding to invest their time and effort into my professional development, because Rob, they mentor me, they coach me, they sponsor me by promoting me multiple times. They offer me very challenging but rewarding opportunities, which have helped me to get where I am today.
No, look, I think that's a great perspective, Alma. And as you were talking there, I mean, I'm thinking back 20, 25 years ago, and what such a male-dominated industry supply chain was.
Right.
It's interesting. There are still pockets where that's very much the case. But I mean, I run a management consulting business, and when I look back at some of the companies that we worked with over the years, particularly in your industry in the pharmaceutical sector, that I can remember working not that long ago with businesses where most of the senior management team were female. And what was interesting? It was a really different working environment in such a positive way. And if I look around at some of the the really senior supply chain leaders that I know, so many are women and so effective and great at what they do. And I'm kind of like you. I just want to see more women in this industry, because it's such a fantastic industry to be in, and it's complete BS, to be honest, to have it so male dominated.
I think it's like it has to be a balance, right? Like, I'm not saying it has to be 100% female and out with the men. No. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, like, we need to work together. And I just want to make sure that when I'm at the table, and more, like, say, junior people that are just coming into the supply chain, they can look. They're looking at you regardless, so I already made my peace with it. They're watching you, they're watching what you do. Like, some people that I don't think they're kind of reading my post on LinkedIn, they actually read it, and they are running to them in the office, like, Alma, I noticed that you were in this conference and you were in this panel and you were in this, like, they are watching you, right? So like, you have to role model it, which I think adds another layer of pressure, that you have to be that strong role model for so many women that are, right behind us, right? And I need to make sure that those women get to that leadership position, because they're eventually going to take our roles, right? We're not going to be here forever.
So let's just focus for a moment on women who have been in supply chain for a while. They're climbing the corporate ladder. What would be a tip that you would have for them to sort of get into more of the senior leadership roles? And these conversations, I'm so glad that you're joining this, because, as a male, I can't really talk about these topics, or we think we can't. It's crazy, isn't it?
No, but you can. You can, Rob. No, you can, because
I don't have the right perspective.
No. But I can assure you, you have mentored so many women. You have mentored a lot of women, and sometimes, like, they lean. I have leaned on a lot of male, mentors and sponsors that I have had throughout my career. Without them, I wouldn't be here. It's just very clear to me. So
I think a lot of guys, unfortunately, feel like they have to walk on eggshells with this topic, But come on, guys, step up.
No, let's step up. I'm not saying invite us to the golf course. I'm not going, by the way. I hate sports.
I wouldn't either.
So don't invite me to the golf course. But you know what? Like, if you want to stop by my office and have an impromptu half an hour with me, I appreciate that. I appreciate those perspectives, right? So I might not be the person that you're gonna be hanging out with and having beers after work. I get that, and I get that that's an opportunity that we as women sometimes miss with the leaders. On the other hand, I make my own opportunities. Like, I will book some time with my manager. I will book some time with other strong leaders. I might quiz them on, like, I observe them too. Female, male leaders. I observe them. Now my boss is gonna think that I'm watching him, but I am. No, but I am. It's like, right. I was like, okay. I really like the way he handled this situation, like, and then you take that tool and add it to your toolkit, right? Like, but it has to be authentic. It has to be still you. I'm not gonna be him. There's only one of him, but I'm gonna be me. There's also only one of me. I have to take what works for me and then apply my own style. So it it shows up as authentic, Rob, and not me trying to be a carbon copy of someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we finish on this topic, which is a really important topic, and we might have to talk about this again, what would be your number one tip for women in supply chain leadership positions?
What would be my number one tip? You know, really, like, maybe I'm gonna go back to use your voice, speak up. It's a skill. It can be developed. Honestly, if you would have met me when I was in junior high, you wouldn't be like, Alma is like a completely different person, which actually I went into a reunion, back in Mexico of my junior high.
I can imagine.
No.
Alma now and Alma then.
No, you cannot even imagine, Rob. It was actually hilarious because I had someone that knew me from back then. It was like a group of 15 people. Now I'm with the restaurant manager and I'm organizing, and I'm doing this and I'm standing up and, and carrying a little bit of the conversation. And there was one lady that just couldn't, handle it anymore. And it's like, Alma, what happened to you? What happened to you? This is not the Alma I remember when it was like, like always hiding behind the books and never raising, the hand. And it's like, I was very studious. To be fair, I was very studious. I was always had good grades and etc. But I was not going to be the leader of the classroom, right? So she just couldn't reconcile the image she had on me back then. Hi to Rocio. To the image that I have now. So I'm gonna say to my women in supply chain, the more you speak, the greater your confidence. It's not gonna be a hit. It's not gonna be well received every time. Don't let that discourage you. Once you increase your confidence, you're gonna feel more relaxed, and then you're gonna increase your effectiveness over time. So start testing this, in a lower risk environment, and then keep pushing your limits from there, right? So authentic, genuine, consistent communication that will help you connect with the audience, regardless of the size of the audience or organizational level. So if you're in the journey to find your voice, congratulations. If you're not in the journey to find your voice, please get started today.
Perfect. What a way to finish. Alma, it's always great chatting to you. For anyone watching this, do connect with Alma. We'll put Alma's LinkedIn link down below. And thank you so much for joining us. You always give us such a great perspective on supply chain.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure. I enjoy it too much.
We got to start. We could talk all day. Until next time. Thanks for joining us, Alma.